Hello and welcome to another episode of Do Not Fade This podcast. My name is Joshua Reimer. I'm joined by none other than the man, the myth, the legend, Jared Block. Jared, we had a week full of hoops, or a weekend full of hoops, excuse me. March Madness was a blast, but that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about some NBA. So, Jared, how was your weekend, man?
Weekend was good. I got a little bit of time away, so that was nice. With that time spent, basically just been sitting at my desk making MLB articles and finalizing our processes for this week. So, busy week ahead. You're going to hear this a couple times from us on the limited amount of shows we do for NBA. I will talk about myself. I'm just ready for MLB. I know that you've had an awesome weekend with March Madness. By the way, my team that I picked is still alive. Do you want to know who it was? Because we haven't talked about this.
Who is it?
I know who you probably went with Duke, I'm assuming.
Yeah, of course. I've made 25 brackets, so I got a lot of teams still in contention, but my main pick was Duke, yes. So who was yours?
Iowa State. And I looked into this just a little bit. And
Hell yeah.
I mean, like 30 minutes before the tournament started. That's when I filled out
Nice.
my bracket, as always. And I felt really, really good about all the underlying stuff, and then all of a sudden their best player goes down in the second round. So
Yeah.
I'm feeling optimistic. I don't feel as good as I did on Thursday, but I think I still got a fighting chance. And then obviously another reason why I just stopped watching was that the only upset that was a true upset in the entire weekend was my Wisconsin team, of course, because it always is. So losing at 11 a.m. in round one is a good punch.
Yeah, that's I was thinking about you, man, as I saw them going down. I was like, oh man, Jared's got to be pissed. And it's like the only 5 seed that ended up losing was only 1, 2, 3, and 4 seeds all went undefeated in the first round. Obviously just the first round, not in the second round. And then the only 5 seed to lose was your Wisconsin Badgers. And I was like, man, I feel for the man. That's gotta be something else.
Okay. Whatever.
All right, can be
Another
done
one of
with
my
this.
sports teams losing.
I can turn this off now. Yeah, March Madness was really good to us. NBA was really good to us over the weekend, too. Had a really good week outside of Devin Booker falling 2 points short of his points line last night, but everything else was really solid. So, really, I am ready for MLB. I love MLB. It is by far my favorite sport, just overall. I've had a lot of success with it over the years. So, definitely when it comes to credentials, I feel like I'm most qualified in MLB over any other sport. But NBA and college basketball are trying to pull me in, man. They're trying to keep me sticking around, and it's going to be hard to make the transition. But I'm excited nonetheless. Still, we have plenty of basketball to talk about, specifically today, where we have a bunch of games on the slate, 10 in total today to talk about. And yeah, we have a few more days to talk about NBA. Let's do exactly that. Jared, if you're ready, I'm ready. We can get into this slate and talk about what we always start out with, which is injuries.
Yeah, we talked pre-show, and you told me Saturday there's 18 questionables heading into this afternoon window. You got around 10 of them today. The main ones, Kawhi, Jalen Johnson, those are the biggest. And then you have the Pacers, who just continue to have 6 guys questionable every single game. With that said, we got to keep an eye on, I know the spot's not good, but at least keep an eye on what the Sixers have here in this matchup. You have Quentin Grimes and Dominic Barlow, both questionable for this side. So if they go down or one of them goes down, it's even fewer guys on this team to rely on. Chicago, we kind of got that news ahead of time. So those guards that have been out will continue to be out. Probables, Kristaps, D'Anthony Melton. John Collins was probable, but I think he got downgraded to questionable over the last 30 minutes or so. Brooklyn ruled everybody out. Memphis is a mess. I mean, I don't even know where to go from there because there's not really much. I will say, Oklahoma City quietly getting extremely healthy at this point. If AJ Mitchell wasn't suspended, they wouldn't have anybody on the injury report. Jalen Williams is expected to play today, so that'll be interesting to see if they do that as huge favorites. There's a couple teams on here that are getting healthy. Miami, another one, after they had a bunch of guys sitting out due to injuries. So we'll talk about that and mention it in passing. I think the main way to summarize this is Kawhi and Jalen Johnson are your main guys to look out for in terms of questionable tags. And then the teams that have just been tanking will continue to sit all their players. And that seems to be another thing they're going to do tonight.
Yeah, for sure. All right, you got anything else here? If not, let's head over to top implied team totals.
Nope, we can move on.
let's do it. Let's move on to top implied team totals, where we will start out with the top implied team, which is the Atlanta Hawks as they face off against the Memphis Grizzlies here. 127 implied team total for the Hawks. They are 14.5-point favorites. Over-unders at 240.5. Yeah, tell me what we need to know about this Atlanta team.
One of several teams on the slate that are double-digit favorites. I think we're going to have some disparity over the next couple of weeks with that. This is one of those slates where a lot of teams are huge, huge favorites. With that said, you kind of do have to just kind of wait and see on this Jalen Johnson spot. He's had 2+3s in 7 straight games. This is technically a pace down, but like both teams are in top 10 in pace of play anyway. So we should focus on other things. I think what you can do here is you can focus on this is a decent 3-point spot. So Nickeil Alexander-Walker has been the best corner 3 guy on this side. He's been pretty consistent at the 3 market for the majority of the last couple of weeks. But the main thing and the main spot to focus on is unfortunately something that Jalen Johnson's heavily involved in, and that is the restricted area scoring that Memphis is allowing right now with essentially no center defense. Dyson Daniels and Johnson are the top scorers in that zone as well. I could potentially get kind of get up for the Onyeka Okongwu spot as well. There's a lot to like here. It's just kind of waiting on the Jalen Johnson news.
Yeah, definitely have to wait on that Jalen Johnson news. Definitely a lot of other stuff here. But like you said, until we get that news, it's going to be a hard spot to bet on overall. All right, anything else here? If not, let's move on to the next team.
This is a 7:30 game. I guess we'll talk about this as we get to higher implied team totals, because, like, where do you stand on this right now? Like, do you wait for this and completely skip on the 7 p.m. window, or do you kind of get that news and you use this as like a secondary, like, SGP situation? It's different for us because we have to provide the content, and as of right now, like, I wouldn't feel overly bullish to include this Atlanta team without knowing that news and posting final content because of it. So, like, if you don't see Jalen Johnson news, I can't put it on the big board as one of the top plays.
I almost just want to say kind of like there are some plays here that I think are okay to just go by regardless, and one of those is Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Like, Walker's been playing with Johnson over the last few games, and we have seen the scoring take a big spike. This is a pretty great matchup for him. Maybe not in the zone scoring region, but at least in the DVP region, it is a good matchup. And I really just don't think, like, Memphis has anyone to throw at, like, solid point scorers right now. So, yeah, I like what Nickeil Alexander-Walker brings to the table. I kind of think Onyeka almost falls in that same category.
Sure.
Onyeka gets better without Jalen Johnson, definitely, but it's such a good matchup for Onyeka. I feel like you're kind of willing to go there regardless. I feel like it's a spot where if Jalen Johnson is out, I feel better about these plays, but if Jalen Johnson is in, I still feel perfectly fine about these guys because they've been playing, at least with Nickeil Alexander-Walker, he's been thriving recently, and he's been playing with Jalen Johnson the whole time. So, yeah, that's my read on those spots.
They're 14-point favorites as of this morning. Have they lost in this 12-game stretch yet? Yeah, it did. So
yeah,
they're
against Houston.
9-1 in their last 10. Yeah, to me, 14 points tells me Johnson could be out, and they're just kind of baking that in because I don't really see a world where Memphis could keep this game close if he plays.
Was this the old Magic City game? No. Did you see that whole thing? How it got canceled and stuff? Yeah. Was that last week that it got canceled?
Games ago. That was the Orlando game, I think.
Damn. Okay. Anyway, anything else here, Jared? If not, we'll move on to the next game.
Let's move on. Also, as we're moving on, I know some people like to do this and follow along with the rundown as we go on the podcast. The rundown's currently not up right now just because there's been so much volatility, injury news late in the afternoons, which is kind of unique to this time frame of the year. So it'll be out as soon as we're done with the show. For sure.
All right. Let's head over to the next game, the next team, which is going to be the San Antonio Spurs as they take on the Miami Heat. They have a 123.25 implied team total. They are just 3.5-point favorites, so Vegas is expecting this one to stay close. Over under here is at 242.5. Give me your thoughts on San Antonio here.
Yeah, we know that Vassell and Castle both went to shoot around. We know that Castle is in. We know that Vassell is currently questionable. The main line movement comes from what I said earlier, and that is that Miami is all of a sudden healthy. So we do have Hero playing. We do have Wiggins playing, we do have Powell expected to play. So with that said, you like the parameters of what this sets up as. It's a 240 game total, spread's pretty tight. You like the implied team totals. You love the pace of play spot for San Antonio, who arguably has the best pace up spot on the slate. There's a couple that meet that category, and they're certainly in there with the mix. With that said, you are starting to see, and I'll get your thoughts on this from what you had over the weekend, but like Miami is starting to kind of fall a little bit on the defensive end, at least from a zone scoring perspective and from some DVP stuff too. Like they've given up a lot of points to front court guys recently. Point guards have been able to do really well against them. And on top of that, they're allowing a ton of above the break threes. So the pace of play situation is starting to show some cracks. I think this is an elite spot for Wemby, and I don't really care who's in or out on this side as long as he's in. I'm interested in this spot. He's the best three-point scorer here. We also know that De'Aaron Fox can do well, not from only the DVP spot, but he's also the best paint scorer on this team, which is another zone that Miami's leaking a lot of points to. So I think this is a fantastic spot. I think they arguably could be the top offense of the day. And I think that Wemby could be the top fantasy asset of the day as well.
Yeah, I can certainly get behind the Wemby spot. I do like the upside for him. Like you said, this Miami team is leaking points, though. I wonder how much of this recency data is based off of that Lakers game, just because they gave up a lot of points to the Lakers all the way around. They gave up a lot of points to Luka as well. So I'm curious. I'd be curious to see the nitty gritty of all that and see exactly how the numbers end up forming out. Still, you're 100% right. They're giving up a lot more above the break threes. They're giving a lot more paint shots outside of the restricted area. And like you said, they're really struggling against these front court guys. So while they're struggling against front court guys, I'm not interested in Julian Champagny. He's not really a front court guy in my mind. He's kind of just a third wing player on this team, essentially. Mm-hmm. But Wemby is someone that I can definitely get behind. I think he does have a good matchup against Bam here. And I like the upside for Wemby overall. Outside of that, I'm not really interested in all that much. Even if Vassell sits, like Fox has gotten plenty of these good spots. I feel like he has kind of just been not allergic to these good spots, but it almost doesn't make a difference for him. Like he's kind of just going to put up his 15 to 20 night in, night out, and it's not going to make too much of a difference with the matchup. So I'm staying away from Fox, even though it looks like a good spot. Maybe you get behind rebounds or assists for him instead. But this is Wemby and Wemby only for me here for San Antonio.
Yeah, DVP, like overall spot, I can list Fox in there, but I agree with you at the end of the day, if you're choosing one thing to fully rely upon, I do think this has the meanings for, like, he's been hovering in the 50 to 65 fantasy point game zone recently. I think this is 70 plus on paper for me.
For sure. All right. Anything else here? If not, let's head over to this next team, Jared.
Move on.
Let's move on. Next team up is going to be the Orlando Magic as they take on the Indiana Pacers here. They have a 122 implied team total here. They're 12.5 point favorites. Over-unders at 232. Give me your thoughts. What do you think about Orlando?
Initially, I felt kind of bearish with this team. I think that anytime you're facing the Pacers that have this injury report day in and day out, I tend to worry that things could unravel pretty fast. But then you look at what the Magic's injury report looks like, and you start to feel a little bit more confident of this game staying close, or at least while it's a close game, some of these guys have value in this market. So we know that Jalen Suggs is an addition to the injury report. He's out tonight. Anthony Black, Franz Wagner, Jonathan Isaac are all out already. That could put a guy like Javon Carter into the starting lineup, and I'd be somewhat interested there. But from what you want in terms of your zone scoring as well as DVP, like I think centers are elite in this matchup. I do think that when it comes to what Paolo brings to the table is something I could get up for. I wasn't loving the trends for Bane necessarily, but I think that what we could look for here is just attack the big men in the scoring spots, and I do think that is the best situation here for this side on paper. I think that like a guy like do you expect Javon to start? Is he someone you expect to start?
Yes, I would be shocked. I don't know where else they'd go, really.
They don't really have the depth. Yeah,
maybe Jamal Cain. They've used Jamal Cain in that role before. I don't know who else outside of really Javon that makes sense, though.
Right, and so that from that angle, that's more of like I think that you're probably just playing him in DFS formats. But from a player prop perspective, it's like I want Carter. Want Paulo. I kind of worried about things unraveling fast here. Um, what are your thoughts on this Magic side?
Yeah, I'm really interested in the Paulo stuff. I don't know. Orlando does put a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth after watching them on Saturday against the Lakers. They played
Me too.
really poorly
This
all the
whole
way
season
around.
has been something that I can't. I was
Well,
coming in saying Orlando's got a chance at the number one spot in the East, and that
yeah.
backfired completely. So
Yeah, I don't think a single starter scored more than 20 points in that game against the Lakers, even though they put up. They were in a fight the whole game. Like, it was very close. Luca ended up putting up 33 in that one, but, like, Orlando just didn't get there. So we felt pretty shitty about that. I felt like it was a really good spot for Banchero, but it feels too good to not go back to the well here. Whether you look at DVP or we know the Pacers, they're very clearly a team that limits 3-point shooting, though that's been a lot worse recently. And they allow a lot of scoring in the interior. That's kind of Paulo's game, right? Like, Paulo's almost purely a drive player at that point. There's a reason why they call him PB No J's, because he's got no jumper. Yeah, I like this Paulo spot quite a bit. I don't know if I get behind anything else. I will say Javon's taken 10 plus shots in each of the last 3 games, so
Yep.
feels like there might be something there from a scoring perspective. But a lot of those have been threes as well. So, it depends on how much you trust this Pacers defense. Like I said, they have been getting worse against the 3-point shot, but I don't know if I fully trust in that in Javon Carter's case. So that's how I feel about this one.
since March 13th, the Pacers have allowed 86% of power forwards to hit their points marks. And that's only like a weak sample size, and the only guy that missed was a forward on the Spurs, Bryant. So I don't know how much we can count him in this mix. But yeah, Giannis at 31, Bobby Portis at 29, Josh Hart had a 33-point game against them in that last week. So then you look at Paulo's stuff, and like it was last year, but he had a 50-point game against this team. And then you look at the other 2 games from this year, he had 29 points back on New Year's Eve, and then early January he had a 28-point game against them. So like it does make sense. He's gonna have to go ballistic early for me to feel really good about this.
Javon's already minus 132 to go 3+ threes. That's insane.
That,
For a guy who comes off the bench, that's stupid. That's dumb. I thought that'd be way better odds, which is why I went to go take a check. And my goodness, no, it is not. Okay, anything else here, Jared? If not, we can cover one more team if you want. That team would be the Thunder, just so you know. Or we can move on to the next to hottest shooters.
no, the only thing I'll say about the Thunder is that just don't play them tonight. Don't touch it. Everybody is healthy,
Yeah.
and Jalen Williams is going to be back. And what are they like? A
Minus-
point favorites?
16.5 is what I have them at.
No.
That's pretty gross. All right, let's move over to hottest shooters, Jared. I'll let you go first. Where do you want to go?
Where I'd like to start, as I open my trends up here, is just reiterating the Wemby stuff. He has had 54 plus fantasy points in 7 of the past 9, and he's been getting there. There was this 4+ block streak for quite a while. It's been a little shaky since then, but the pace-up environment is essentially like a fantasy dream on all accounts. So Wemby, 54 plus fantasy points in 7 of the past 9. You feel like that's a high market. I don't think it is today.
Yeah, I can certainly get behind that. I'll go to Kawhi here. He's had 28 plus points in 8 out of the last 10 games. I like the matchup quite a bit for him today, too. I know Bucks have been doing a good job of stopping the interior scoring, but they're still allowing a lot of mid-range, a lot of threes altogether. And this feels like a good spot for Kawhi as long as the game can stay close enough, which I think is probably your biggest question mark. So the Kawhi spot looks really good. His scoring has been really consistent as of recent. Again, that game just has to stay close enough for this to get there.
All right, we'll go to this Jalen Duren spot, who's had 23 plus points in 3 straight, 20 plus points in 5 straight. He's essentially had 20 plus points in like every single game that he's played without Cade in this recent collapsed long stretch, which we haven't talked about yet. But that is such a he should be back and good to go. But I was just like, wow, that's kind of scary. With that said, no Stewart tonight as well on top of that. And this is a monstrous restricted area scoring spot against the Lakers. So give me Jalen Duren here to keep this 20-point streak up.
Can certainly get behind that. I'll mention one more and then let you take it from there. Ryan Rollins threes has been really interesting. He's had 3+ threes in 5 straight games. Yeah, I like what Rollins has been doing recently. Clippers don't give up that many threes to the point guard position, but they do give a lot to the shooting guard position. So I feel like Rollins is kind of fitting into that shooting role. So yeah, I like the Rollins spot overall.
Yeah, I got a couple more here. We'd be remiss to not include Luca. Obviously, I think that goes without being said.
Oh, we're going to include Luca later on.
Yeah,
Don't worry about that.
30+ points in 9 straight games, 3+ threes in 14 straight games. Essentially, my player mode on NBA 2K right now. I will say that's a tough spot, but without Cade, I think that it gives him. I don't even care. Like I think my exact wording on the Luca stuff today was like, just don't fade it. Just keep playing it until it falls off. Other things, Ace Bailey, though this team isn't trustable, he has hit 4+ threes in 4 of the past 5 games. So, when he plays, Sensabaugh has scored 21+ points in 5 straight, but again, he's been missing some of these games. Who else? Donovan Klingen's been a guy that's just smashed in every matchup, even the bad ones. He's had 31+ PRA in 5 of the past 6. Darius Garland, 20+ points in 6 of the last 7. So there's some stuff to look at here. But there's a lot of things in here that are kind of iffy too. So just be careful. I also wouldn't play Utah tonight if I had to choose.
For sure. All right. Anything else here? If not, we'll head over to round table.
Oh, Bam still has I think the 20+ streak is like 8 games long now.
Oh,
sorry,
wow.
it's 11. It's 11 straight games of 20+ points. So. More of an alt play than like a over under 23.5 situation.
He's had back-to-back like really good games. Like I know we were making fun of him a lot for the 80-point game. Did you see his comments after the Lakers game, by the way?
Yes, that was
About
a direct shot at Luca.
Yeah, where it's like, Luca, I know how it feels to get in that mode, and it's just special when you're able to put up 80 or something along those lines. I thought that was really funny. Regardless, though, really 2 good back-to-back games. One against the Lakers, who don't allow a lot of points to the center position, and then one against the Rockets, who are also a very good center defense. Like, make fun of Bam all you want. These are a good stretch of games that he's putting together right now.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. Let's head over to round table. Jared, for those who don't know how it works, Jared and I will bring some of our top plays to the table to talk about. Those plays come in different statistical categories, and those categories are points, rebounds, and assists. Jared, I'll have you start out first. Where are you going for points?
Going for points. There are some spots that I think we can just cross off, and I will try to include that at the end of the show. But for the time being, yeah, I think what I'll end up doing is just leaning into the Darius Garland stuff because we've attacked point guards against the Bucks all season.
Yeah.
It's another game that could get a little iffy if Milwaukee can't come out early. So I have my concerns there, but I do think this is a solid spot for Garland. We just talked about the trends, 20+ points in a good chunk of these last 2 weeks of games. We also need to mention that Kawhi is questionable, and John Collins is also questionable too now, so things could end up leaning into a closer game if those guys end up missing. So I like the spot for Darius Garland. And lastly, I'll just note that this could just apply to both guard positions, as I understand sometimes the nuance of shooting guard versus point guard is interesting with DVP, but both of these things are bottom 10 situations.
Yeah, for sure. I like the Darius Garland spot. I think it's like 6 out of the last 7. He's had 20+. He's also coming off of that 40-point game against Dallas. Really good stretch of games for Darius Garland. Seems like he's starting to fit into that LA scene. I said we were going to talk about it later. Luka Doncic is my guy here. Look, I understand the DVP is really daunting, but if you go look at the most recent point guards that this team has faced off against, Jared, in Detroit, it's a whole list of nobodies. Like, the last player that they had with a line of 20 points or more was James Harden back on March 4th, Jared. Last player that they had with 25+ points, 25+ point line was Jalen Brunson, and that was back on February 20th. Like, we just haven't seen this team play a lot of elite guards recently. Luka's certainly been that. Luka's been dominating. I think without Cade, you lose a premier defender. Like, everyone talks about Cade's offensive stuff, but Cade's one of the best superstar defenders as well. And I'm sure they're going to throw Oscar Thompson at him and a levy of different things because they do a really good job in Detroit of throwing stuff at superstars. But yeah, I think Luka's perfectly fine. I think you ride the wave. This is more than just Luka doing really well, too. It's been LeBron taking a huge step back. He's shooting a lot less. Reeves has filled into that secondary role, and Luka's kind of thriving with that. So, yeah, I like the Luka stuff. Like you said, it's kind of in a spot where it's like you're going to keep riding this until it stops working. And that's how I feel about the Luka spot. So, really like Luka today. Rebounds, where do you want to go, Jared?
Yeah, we'll go with a guy that's going to have a sky-high line today, but I think that you can just go and play this because, and maybe it's a points rebounds type of thing just because he has cleared that market in 3 straight games. But we'll talk about Klingon here, who has had double-digit rebounds in 9 straight games. The line he's going to have is somewhere between 13 and 13.5, and he's been right on the 13 line in 5 of these past 9 games. So this is a great spot against Brooklyn, who doesn't have any rebounders outside of Claxton. And I do think that if you look at the last 10 games, he's had 15.6 rebound chances per game. He's just sat in the top 5 in the NBA from that statistical category all season. So they allowed double-digit rebounds to Maxime Reynaud, Mitchell Robinson, Karl-Anthony Towns, Klingon at 11 in this matchup a week ago. But I do think that this is a spot where we can go back to it and feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, I was going to tout that spot as well, so I'm glad you went to it because it is a really good spot. I will go to this spot for De'Aaron Fox. I kind of teased this already, but this Miami team is giving up a bunch of rebounds to the point guard position, the most over the last 7 games compared to any other team in the NBA. Fox has been somewhat inconsistent at this 3.5 number, so I wouldn't mind if you went down one and outlined it. But regardless, I think it's a really good spot. Miami is just giving up a bunch of boards to guards right now, and Fox usually does a good job of going to chase those. So the spot only gets better if Devin Vassell's out too. He ends up rebounding a lot more with Devin Vassell off the floor. So yeah, I like this De'Aaron Fox spot.
All right, and finally we're going to go with the assist spots. I'll go with Reed Shepherd for Houston. We need to talk about something that happened last week. Though he is out of the slump, kind of. He basically, Tari Eason basically just lost his starting spot, and Houston elected to start Reed Shepherd in that last game. And it was against Miami, so there was a huge pace-up situation here. But we have another similar type matchup against Chicago, who has allowed the most assists to the point guard position over their last 7 games. He just had 14 assists in that Miami game off of, I had to check what number that was, 21 potentials, which is insane.
Wow.
And 77% of point guards this month have hit their assist lines in this matchup, Harden being the last one to fall just short, though he hooked a 9 and 9.5 line. So 21 potentials is obviously eye-popping and not trustworthy. I do think that his normal line right now is at 6, Josh. I feel pretty good about that in this situation. I think this also applies to Thompson in general. How do you view the guards for Houston? They've kind of just been a weird DVP spot when they both start.
Yeah, it's been super interesting to watch this new lineup for Houston kind of develop because we've been so used to Amon taking like this rebounds and assist role and not really a big scoring role at the point guard position. But I like it. I don't think he really fits into the assist conversation anymore. It just hasn't been popping over these last few games. But I like the Reed Shepherd spot quite a bit. And I think this team will be better when it comes playoff time because they're testing out this lineup now. Hopefully they do. I know Ime Udoka was talking about how Reed's not always going to be in the starting lineup for the rest of the year. It's going to be here and there. I think they said like there's 13 games left. We'll start him like 8, 6, or 7 or somewhere around there. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens in that regard. Hopefully he continues to start because I think they've been better for it, honestly. My play is going to be, I'm trying to decide between a few because I think there are a few on the table today. Yeah, we'll go with Ryan Rollins. It's been super consistent for him recently. We've seen him have 7+ assists in 5 out of the last 7 games. And we've also seen this Clippers team just give up a lot of assists. They gave up 9 to Ryan Nembhard in their last game. They gave up 11 to DeJounte Murray when his line was at 6.5. So 82% of point guards have hit their assist line over the last 10 games against the Clippers. I think Rollins has a good chance to do so today. All right. Anything else here, Jared? If not, we'll head over to Two Minds Are Better Than One.
Um, I'm I am hesitant. I was going to bring it up a couple of times and then I talked myself out of it, but this is an amazing spot for Chet if the game ends up winding up staying close. I said don't play the Thunder, so I'm prefacing it with that again, but like Sixers have just been one of the worst defenses in the NBA against the center position the last 2 weeks, and this is something that's just not going to go away. So they've allowed the fourth most points, the most rebounds, and the most assists to the center position. And I think that if you're looking at this, like, yes, this does grade out very, very well for Chet. I just worry that he falls just short because of a high market and a blowout spot.
For sure. All right. Anything else here, Jared? If not, we'll move on.
Nope, let's move on.
Let's move on. If you don't know how Two Minds Are Better Than One works, here is how it works. Jared and I go back and forth, each of us selecting 2 player props each. We put those player props into a parlay with our goal of the parlay to have plus 100 to plus 150 odds. Jared, I'll let you start out first. Where do you want to go?
Yeah, we'll just go to play Reed Shepherd PRA. I think that's a pretty self-explanatory way of doing things. Not only is the peripheral spot one of the best on paper in terms of the rebounds and assists, the Chicago Bulls have also allowed the 5th most points to point guards over their last 2-week stretch. So all around, spot's really good. And I'd even be okay with playing it if he was announced not starting.
For sure. 20 is okay. That's kind of what we're left with. It's either minus 323 for 20 or minus 1300 for 15. So not a lot of options over here on DK. All right. I think you know where I'm going to head over to. We're going to Luka points, 25 plus here.
No issues with that. This is one of those where like I don't care what the DVP says. NK is not playing anyway. So
yeah.
With that said, we'll go and get the Wendell Carter rebound stuff. He's had a ton of success against the Pacers in general, and I do think that while there's some blowout risk here, this is a good format for a play like this to get an alt situation.
For sure. Are you cool with 5 plus? Sound good?
Yep.
All right, perfect. We'll go with 5 plus for Wendell Carter there, and I will go with Nickeil Alexander-Walker for 15 plus points. Like I said, I don't care about the Jalen Johnson news all that much for this one. He's just been scoring way more effectively than he has all season recently, and I think this is a good spot for it. So we'll go Walker for 15 plus points. Altogether, we have Reed Shepherd for 20 plus PRA, Luka for 25 plus points, Nickeil Alexander-Walker for 15 plus points, Wendell Carter for 5 plus rebounds. Jared, let's get out of here. Give me your final thoughts.
What do you think about this recent uptick for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and for Nickeil Alexander-Walker? Because it feels like they're kind of just throwing haymakers at each other. And I'm curious to see at what point, because they are cousins for those who don't know. Mm-hmm. First generation related cousins or something. So with that said, like Shai's I know he's had some down games recently. He had 20 against Brooklyn and 20 against Minnesota. But in the other games surrounding that, like 35 against Denver, 35 against Boston, 40 against Orlando the night after 40, or Nickeil Alexander-Walker put a 40 on Orlando, and then he set a 40-point game against Washington. So, like, maybe there's something to say about if they're playing the same, if they're both playing on the same slate on the same night, that you're sending texts back and forth at halftime and shit like that.
Maybe.
So I'm interested.
Hell yeah.
I don't... Do I think Shai's going to score 40 tonight in this blowout situation with everybody healthy? No, but I think it's an interesting thing to note.
For sure. Definitely interesting thing. Definitely a lot of fun. Anything else for final thoughts? I guess we should housekeep, right?
My teams suck, dude. They're terrible. The Bucks are tanking. Well, we'll see. Maybe the Brewers have some redemption. I get to have the prime opening day of them facing the White Sox with Mizurowski starting, so I am pretty happy about that.
At least it's not like last year where you're going to have a 20 burger put up on you from my Yankees.
Yes, I know. That was such a depressing, deflating weekend.
Oh, jeez.
Housekeeping. We're not going to do a show tomorrow for NBA. We're going to focus on getting baseball stuff rolled out. We're still debating, and I think we came to a conclusion that we're going to podcast on NBA's Wednesday slate. That's pretty massive. But I think it's time to get this out in the open, and we'll make a message in the Discord for everybody, and I'll post some stuff publicly. But we're going to slowly start shifting a good chunk of content. We have not decided completely how we're going to do this, but we're going to make an announcement soon about what NBA plus MLB content looks like when they're both going on for the next month plus. Obviously, we'll be interested in playoff stuff come NBA time. But Josh, you want to give some comments on how the next 3 weeks is going to go?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be, man, I remember back in the days when we used to double podcast these and really go all out and provide all the content for everything. That is just not the mindset we're in anymore. Full shift focus to the MLB season. For NBA, there will still be projections. I will be running the big board for the rest of the year. We might take off some slates depending on the varying MLB we have going on. I might take off Thursdays and Fridays since they are my technical days off, and I don't really want to be working 7 days a week on content. But there will be NBA content throughout the rest of the year. It just means no more rundown, which is just, it's too much. MLB rundown is like, NBA rundown's a beast, but MLB rundown is like a whole other beast. Like MLB rundowns with 15 games almost every single day is utterly insane. On top with having to get the rundown done early in the day because there's day games, especially on the weekends. MLB rundowns are massive on Sundays specifically where there's 10 noon games. It's a little bit ridiculous, but we'll still have NBA content. It's just going to be, like you said, a slow step back. And if you need to see exactly what's going out, like Jared said, we'll have a message out later today in terms of what exactly you guys can expect in terms of NBA content for the rest of the year. But to be honest, you really shouldn't be betting on NBA. I know some people just genuinely don't like MLB, but I would just, it's a hard time to bet NBA right now. I've had some good success recently, but it's still a really difficult time to bet NBA at this point.
Yeah, like you said, for those who don't know how the baseball schedule works, there are 5 guaranteed days a week that have all teams playing. So, or the majority of the season, that's the same situation. It's Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and both weekend days. And on those weekend days, you usually have 30 games combined. So it's just something that we have shifted into doing. And like Josh said, I mean, look, the next 2 weeks of NBA are probably playable in a lot of capacity, like spots like Wemby tonight in a close spread game. The Lucas stuff is strong enough. I like the Jalen Duren spot tonight. But yeah, from there, we're going to get a lot of disparity and even more. If you thought tanking was bad now, just wait until April. So we're going to still provide NBA in some capacity, and we'll probably do more than we did last year, considering this is our first time around the sun with Trinity. So yeah. I do think that learning from last year's how that went can shift our decision making for this year, and we're going to have to lean on NBA a little bit, at least when it comes to this weekend, because there's only so much you can look at to prepare yourself for the MLB season. There will be some stuff to look at, obviously, but I do think that we'll have to at least get that involved from a player prop parlay standpoint over the next 10 days here.
Yeah, I know everyone's really excited about MLB coming back, so am I, but I specifically remember from last year, these first few weeks are kind of hell. You don't really have any data points to go off of other than last year's data, which is basically just number fodder at that point. It's not really all that helpful. There's so much to catch up on and see how teams are doing things, see how lineups line up, see how offenses meld and all that these first few weeks are a little bit of a hell to get through. So we're still covering it regardless, and we do it better than I think anyone else does in the industry. So we'll have a lot of fun doing it regardless. But it will take a little bit to get our feet under us, and that's why we can kind of have NBA to lean back on a little bit during those days. So should be a lot of fun regardless of how things go. All right, Jared, you got anything else? If not, last NBA show Wednesday. It will be bittersweet for sure.
Correct. Yes, no podcast tomorrow. We'll podcast on Wednesday for NBA, and then it's time to move on.
We'll probably have MLB.
Baseball.
We'll probably talk about MLB on Wednesday on the show, too. Maybe we'll leave the last 10 minutes to talk about the MLB slate.
Sure.
Or MLB game, I guess. It's not a slate.
That. On top of that, we dropped our monthly MLB special, so we are discounting your first month that you're signing up with us for $3.33 a month for your first month, which I think is probably one of the cheapest things in this Dub Club Capper era that is available to you. So take advantage of it. With that said, that comes with the first round of the NBA playoffs as well, including the first month of the MLB season. On top of that, we just posted our 5th division podcast this morning, and we still have one more to go that'll come out on Wednesday, but all of those are available for free over on the YouTube, which is pinned in my handle that you're watching this from specifically. On top of that, I did announce and post my 2 pitcher articles and hitter articles, guys that I think are going to break out from last year to take a next step this year. That is currently only available for members. I will end up releasing that at some point, but wanted to get that to them ahead of this week. And like you said, you can only go off of so much, and it feels like number fodder. That's kind of what I felt like I was going through, making some of those calls, and I guess we'll see. I kind of want to do a monthly review on how right I was on that angle, because sometimes the numbers say these guys break out, and then shit hits the fan and something else happens. So really interested to see. I feel pretty good about my lists, so I'm excited to kind of bring them up month over month here.
Yeah, definitely excited. I haven't even read them yet. I'm excited to go take a look at them because I haven't even seen who you listed there. It should be a lot of fun this MLB season. Definitely excited for it. All right. Anything else, Jared? If not, we'll get out of here, man.
Oh, let's get out of here.
All right. Thank you all for listening. As always, my name is Joshua Reimer, and we will see y'all on Wednesday.